There are two types of Nintendo consoles, innovators and sequels. The GameCube is just the N64 with more polygons. The Game Boy Color is just the Game Boy with color. The 3DS is just the DS with 3 screens. The SNES is just an NES, but super. And the Wii U is just the Wii with a little more U. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. What exactly the Wii U was kind of remains a mystery. It's so common to refer to it as a failure. Its sales were low, and its lack of third-party support isn't that great when compared to the Switch. Honestly though, the Wii U wasn't that different from other Nintendo consoles. It was just missing something. There are incredibly obvious answers to the questions of what did the Wii U need, including a true 3D Mario, an exclusive main series Zelda, actually good marketing, a name that won't confuse my grandmother when she tries to buy me one for Christmas, a picture of my bare ass displayed on the gamepad at all times. Those are satisfactory answers, but as someone who actually enjoys the Wii U and bought one well after the Switch was released, I really want to focus on, games. There are some seriously solid titles on the Wii U, and while some feel like a 100-year-old Japanese company trying to figure out what the hell HDMI stood for, there's still like fucking 6 Zeldas you can play on the Wii U, and Mario 3D World feels exactly like a modern take on Super Mario World, but in 3D. It's a beat-blocking, bebopping good-ass time. So what would I want to do with the Wii U if I was hypothetically hired by Nintendo and forced to head up development on their now out-of-date Dark Age console? Well, I'm glad you asked. I thought really hard about this one, made a big-ass list, and divided it into 3 categories: first parties, third parties, and big dumb crossovers. Seems pretty simple, right? Let's get started. Four Swords Adventures. I don't really want to start this list off with a port, but it's a strong enough idea that I think it'll keep those retention stats up. When I eventually pitch something really stupid like a new 3D Sonic game, you'll go, no, I'll hear him out. His ideas for a Four Sword Adventure port was really good. But here's the thing, why didn't we get a port of Four Swords Adventures on the Wii U? It seems incredibly obvious. So much of what makes that game a challenge to play, not only today, but also when it came out, is finding proper link cables, GBAs, and friends to be able to play it. But having a multiplayer version where player 1 is exploring on screen with a Pro Controller or Wiimote, and player 2 through 4 are exploring with the gamepads in that screen seems like a no-brainer. It would still be a challenge to get that many gamepads together, and it may just be my increased disposable income talking, but having it essentially come out of the box with the ability for this to work and for it to fit in line with like what Nintendo was doing with Zelda at the time makes this feel super obvious. Pilot Wings U. If you bought an N64 or SNES the day they came out and you didn't get a Mario game, you probably walked out of the store with a copy of Pilot Wings. While they're most definitely like 50% tech demo, they've also got some very relaxing vibes to them. Having photography mapped to the gamepad in the same way as that tech demo video where the person catches the ball would be really nice. It would be less of a burden than something like Star Fox Zero. But also having all of the digital readouts that come with real world piloting there as well would make for a nice tactile experience. Adjusting flaps and raising and lowering landing gears and that little level thingy would all be there to make it not a flight sim, but something a little more in line with the surprisingly detailed Pilot Wings on the SNES. Pokemon Stadium, not to be confused with Dakota's Pokemon Snap Wii idea. I know, the Wii U has too many damn multiplayer party games, but hear me out. Whenever Dakota and I would play Pokemon Stadium in college like two completely normal people who lived together and didn't know any girls, we'd always have to have one person close their eyes or leave the room whenever the other person chose their Pokemon. It makes for a kind of awkward experience, and with the miracle of the Wii U gamepad, that whole process could be streamlined. If you're fortunate enough to have 2 gamepads, you both could pick at the same time. And just in general, being able to reference your moves list or the Pokemon you can swap out while in battle would just elevate that Pokemon Stadium experience. Also, that Ekans Ring Toss game would be super cool on the gamepad. Star Fox from Retro Studios. I don't know if this technically counts as first party, which it doesn't really matter, I make the rules, but I really trust Retro Studios to capture the essence of old SNES games. And there's perhaps no other SNES series that needs a real win right now more than Star Fox. Zero is serviceable, to say the least, a game that everyone said was bad, but I didn't believe them, and then I played it for myself, and I found it to be a bit messy. And like the GameCube before it, the Wii U really needs to reconcile its problems with the series by giving us a bold, new, and pretty solid version like it did with Star Fox Assault, something that I feel like Retro is more than capable of. It's a simple solution, but also not that far-fetched. Mario Paint U. You know, I know that UArts has all but cornered the console art studio market, but what's a guy gotta do to get a Mario Paint on the Wii U? I can already smell the penis doodles. SNES Remix. I learned the hard way that I'm not very good at NES games through NES Remix 1 and 2 on Wii U. And while it's definitely not the most original or heaviest in content, NES Remix is pretty damn cool and chaotic in a way that makes me feel like I'm River Phoenix in The Wizard. Hello? Fred who? No, that's River Phoenix. No, I am confident that's River Phoenix. Who the hell is Fred Savage? Yeah, of course I've seen Stand By Me. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, bye. Thanks, bye. And what better way to continue doing the exact same thing than do all of that stuff for the SNES? Make me complete levels of DKC, or save Baby Mario, or actually finish Super Metroid. You know, real challenges that put my skills as an unrefined millennial gamer to the test. Fire Emblem.
Hey, I'm just gonna butt in here for a quick second to add my own hypothetical. Fire Emblem for the Wii U could have worked in so many ways. While I know that the entries on the Wii and the GameCube weren't all that financially successful, and that Awakening on the 3DS really saved the entire series from being shelved harder than Captain Falcon, rest in peace, for everyone here who isn't a Fire Emblem fan, this series is all about the characters. The looming fear of permadeath adds weight to every single action, making you care about all 596 characters that you come into contact with, despite looking and acting pretty much the same. This makes the statistical aspect of each unit a critical consideration. Due to this, I spent a lot of time in the stat menus. Having a touchpad as a quick reference book where you can flip through pages and find out information would be a huge boost to my immersion. And with the addition of the conversation system seen in Radiant Dawn, you could have made detailed notes about certain characters and their relationship. And, well, which ones are best suited for you? Because if there's one thing I hate doing, it's guessing and checking to see who I have to use in order to recruit other parties to my character. Sure, 75% of the time it's the main lord, but you know, I could also just look it up online. Just let me have this. But I'd much rather stay immersed as the plucky tactician dominating the battlefield than having to, you know, look at my phone. However, all that aside, Fire Emblem's doing pretty great nowadays. I mean, how many characters do they have in Smash? More than Zelda does. Yeah. Who's Nintendo's real flagship franchise? Not Zelda, it's fucking Fire Emblem, boys.
Sonic Rider. You know that old Flash game, Line Rider? That plus Sonic. We'll call it Sonic Rider or Sonic Maker. That's it. That's the whole idea. Sell some cheap plastic siluses and call it a day. A 3D Rayman. While it was only a Wii U exclusive briefly before it was put on every console since the Commodore 64, Rayman Legends is an absolutely stellar game. And while Ubisoft has been quietly killing it with inspired Nintendo exclusives, seeing another really good Rayman series that gets back to the 3D platforming in a time when the console was in dire need of some is a really, really cool idea. And having that hyper-focused, really refined look and feel that came with the zippy type platforming in Rayman Legends and Origins would really make this shine. Part of me honestly thinks that this would more than show up Nintendo's 3D outings in this era. But what do I know? I'm just a guy talking about the Wii U in 2020. And speaking of 3D powerhouses, a new 3D Sonic game. Told you I'd do it. It just seems like Sonic Boom wasn't it, you know? SimCity U. This really isn't rooted in anything, it's just something I'd like to see again. EA doesn't really have the biggest confidence in either SimCity or Nintendo in general, and all of that cool Will Wright auteur power or whatever has been missing for, oh good lord, Spore came out 12 years ago? Christ, I'm old. The gamepad would make drawing lines for streets and zones way easier than using your highly evolved, finely tuned phalanges to push around a 1-inch stick within a comically small radius, something that has made the more design aspects of the other games in the Sims series suffer on consoles. Coupling that with that weird Nintendo charm that came with the original version on the SNES would really make for a unique building experience and give Nintendo the opportunity to improve upon what was done on the DS in 2007. Anything from Platinum. Starting in the Wii generation, Platinum Games had some pretty strong successes on Nintendo's home consoles. And with Bayonetta 2, Star Fox Zero, and Wonderful 101, Platinum has proven themselves to be Nintendo's ace in the hole. It would have been really cool to see Platinum occupy the same space Rare did on the SNES and N64 for the Wii U. You know, a developer that creates something super unique and incredibly optimized for a console that definitely doesn't have third parties excited to port a downgraded version of their AAA titles to it. You know what I'm talking about, right? I don't know. Platinum makes good Wii U games, and the Wii U needed more good games. This isn't complicated math. When making Kotaku articles that are titled something along the lines of 10 surprisingly good Wii U games that are stupid cheap, or whatever, there's bound to be a couple of titles that constantly show up. They're in a special category in the Wii U era that I like to call times Nintendo went, yeah sure, do whatever you want with our characters. These are the Pokken tournaments, the crossover with the Rabbids that was originally developed for the Wii U and was released on the Switch, whatever Hyrule Warriors is. I just want a select few developers taking a crack at adapting popular characters into new genres, or breathing new life into an old series. Mushroom Kingdom Warriors. Probably the most successful attempt at this was Hyrule Warriors, with its Zelda fan service, semi-strategic gameplay, and over-the-top anime-style ass-kicking. And you know what lends itself well to that? A little game hero called Mario. Picture it. Goombas as far as the eye can see, Baby Mario beating the absolute shit out of Morton, Daisy spinning an anime sword blade at Waluigi's head, all things that would absolutely move Wii U consoles better than any other titles. The self-serious absolute absurdity of something like Super Smash Bros. Combined with the more Mario-related fan service would be something that you could only dream of. Aesthetically, Hyrule Warriors kind of blew me away. It's so over the top with its metal guitar versions of classic Zelda tunes, and it's actually hilarious to me. And doing that with Mario would just blow me away. A Criterion F-Zero. This has been confirmed and unconfirmed and rumored to be confirmed and rumored to be unconfirmed, but I like the idea of giving Criterion a bunch of projects that seem in their wheelhouse because it seems like it's been a while since we got games that were actually in that wheelhouse. But if I'm asking EA to be confident enough in a SimCity game that's exclusive to the Wii U, maybe Phil Spencer? No, Andrew Wilson would be confident enough to give me this little dream come true. Honestly, this was just an excuse to get some footage of F-Zero GX, so whatever. Now, in order to finish this list of games on something a little more original, here's a sort of out there idea. Waluigi Land as developed by Ubisoft. Again, the main thing that Nintendo could do right in this era is recognize when developers are good at developing for their console, and then leave them alone to develop. That second part is tricky. While they definitely let Platinum create a Star Fox game, it wasn't done in a way that felt free of corporate meddling. And by corporate meddling, you know that I mean Big Shigeru meddling. Allowing Ubisoft to create this weird spin-off to the already pretty weird Wario Land series by giving us a hand-drawn 2D platformers that utilizes that UbiArts framework from Rayman Legends and features meme icon Waluigi? Do you hear that? That's the sound of viral marketing. Imagine the memes, and how surprised everyone is when they play it for the memes and realize it's actually an incredibly interesting 2D platformer. It's not something that's inherently dependent on being on the Wii U, but in that whole realm of the year of Luigi and giving more of offshoot characters of Mario canon their own titles, a Waluigi Land feels like something frankly we deserve. I know that games aren't necessarily what move consoles, but it really can't hurt. Having less games in the N64 and launch titles that just can't justify the weird peripheral that serves as a main gimmick creates a console that simply can't live up to the older, more refined Wii, that's still receiving the odd title more than 10 years after its release. But that really didn't stop Nintendo from making some surprisingly good games that would get new life on the Switch. We're so quick to jump to the Wii U as a dark time for Nintendo, but with the benefit of hindsight and titles that are currently like $10 on clearance, the Wii U is super cool to collect for these days, and you're really missing out on some really cool games that are still exclusive. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, we did the same thing for the Wii about a year ago, and you should definitely check it out.